I think Sunday night was another, at least paragraph in a chapter of being cursed. And that was on the very first drive. People know about it by now. Jared Goff, under center, quickly leaves, gets a pass from David Montgomery, catches it like a pineapple, scores the touchdown. Takes an extended period of time for them to throw the flag and realize, well, that was an illegal motion call against Detroit. Come to find out, Dan Campbell was told by a member of the officiating crew that New York buzzed in and interfered with that call. It wasn't going to be called unless New York was involved. Here's what he told the flagship station in Detroit after hearing that news.
I want to ask you one, and I want to go back to it. I don't want to harp on, just like we had talked about earlier, but when we asked you, did that call come from New York about overturning the Goff touchdown? Are you guys inquiring as to why you were told that, or inquiring as to what happened in that situation, why they went back a minute and a half later and threw the flag?
Yeah, we asked on all of that. We asked on all of it, and I can't tell you any of that.
But it was an official that told you it came from New York?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, obviously it's raised a lot of questions and concerns from the fans. I know you guys probably have a lot of those too.
Yeah, really good stuff there. And our thanks to the Lions flagship station in Detroit, and thanks to Kool-Aid for putting it in there. He sounds downtrodden, and rarely do you hear Dan Campbell like that. I am not claiming that was the difference in the game. I am not going to sit here and tell you, you see, this is what they lost by. Right. Subtract that. No, that's not how it works in football. You know that better than anybody, okay? There is a different feel to things when certain events take place. But I will say this. The National Football League is bordering on a credibility problem. If this is interference, and it's not supposed to happen, and whether they have recognized it or not, they must be under a frickin' rock if they don't recognize that the Kansas City Chiefs involved in all this. When you have a university in this country doing a study on how often Kansas City gets flagged compared to everybody else, you should recognize that you've got a problem with this team, and there's a credibility problem with this. The National Football League needs to issue some type of statement, and God bless a reporter who should be out there asking Roger Goodell and those in charge about why something like this would happen.
Yeah, that university was the University of Texas El Paso. Look, I'm not going to raise my voice today, and I did that yesterday about the same matter, but I will say, and Mom, I apologize, this is bullshit. And I said it yesterday. This is interference. If the referee that you have assigned to be the white hat, if you've assigned this referee to be the white hat and he has his crew, if they can't figure it out, then that's negligence on that part, and that's something that gets discussed after the game. That's when they grade out the games and where they were wrong and where this and that. That's where you grade out and say, hey, you missed that touchdown earlier. It should have been this. It should have been an illegal motion. You should have thrown the flag. You don't call into the game. Interfere and say, hey, you might want to check this. Basically saying, throw the flag on that play. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing about the Kansas City? What is it about the Kansas City Chiefs that you have to keep doing this for them? They've already won their Super Bowls. You know who's trying to win the Super Bowl? It's the Detroit Lions, and they're trying to win it the right way. But here you guys come, once again, knocking the Lions down, coming up with these random-ass rules, just like you did against the Seattle Seahawks on the goal line, just like you did against the Atlanta Falcons on the goal line, just like you did against Calvin Johnson and the Chicago Bears catch. When does it stop? Oh, my bad. Here's Taylor Decker and Skipper. Here's freaking Pettigrew. Like, when does it stop?
Yeah.
KJ
Brown for Seattle, batting it out of the end zone.
Because at some point, like, if the shoe is on the other foot, if it's a different team, do they call in against that team? Because now that's the question in Detroit. Right. Do they call in if it's Kansas City Chiefs versus the Eagles? Do they call in on the Eagles' behalf? Like, hey, you might want to check that and take a touchdown away from the Eagles. Do they do it if it's Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills? Do you take a touchdown away from him? No, but it always seems like Detroit catches the brunt of whatever the NFL in that game wants to do. At the end of the day, calming it back down, you cannot interfere in games. You pay referees, and might I add, well. I look at what these refs make, especially the ones that wear the white hats. Shoot, I might leave this show and go do that. Maybe I'd be a little bit more competent than those guys. Like, you pay them to do the job. If they don't get it right after the game, when you go over the tape, you look, you grade them, and you say you missed this, and you get docked. And when you get docked in this business, it's the difference between you maybe reffing a Super Bowl or your team coming back next year and figuring it out because how bad your ranking was. This is BS. NFL, it has to stop. There's no room for this in the league. This is blatant interference.
Think about the credibility issue the NBA had when they found out about Tim Donaghy. Okay? When that opened, I remember saying at the time, that opened Pandora's box, not just for NBA officials, but for all officials. When you see things like this, you can't help but at least have it creep into your mind. I'm not saying one of them was guilty of such an action. I'm just saying that's what leads to speculation. When you allow things like this to go unfettered, when you allow things like this to go unchecked, and when you allow things like this to happen without an explanation to a fan base, and it's not the Lions fan base. I'm talking about football, the football fan base. Everybody's talking about this, and rightfully so. This is not whiny Detroit saying, boo-hoo, Detroit versus everybody. This is what you did to us. Everybody's got those T-shirts.
I just became a Detroit Lions fan 5 years ago, so this isn't about the Detroit Lions. This is about what the rules are. Kool-Aid, you're a spades player. You play spades. You know, Shep, I'm sure you play card games.
For sure, yeah.
100%. Haley as well. Can somebody on the side, can somebody tell you that, hey, man, you missed that renege? Hey, you may want to go look at that last book. They renege.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right.
It's up to those individuals in the game to figure it out.
You got to catch me reneging in a euchre game.
100%.
Right.
And
not that I should. I'm just saying.
You know, every once in a while, you know, bleep happens. No, but also what this leads to is now the NFL feels like they owe the Lions one. So now they're going to screw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this upcoming game because they owe the Lions one. I don't want it to be so bad in reffing to where now there's IOUs. Well, we played the Lions, so when they play the Bucs, let's make sure we don't see a couple plays, or let's make sure we call plays to keep them in the game. Because that's what it's borderlining on. Because you owe the Detroit Lions. Because you definitely owe us. And I don't want the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to have to lose out because of what you guys did in New York. This is BS.
Well, they owe everybody an explanation, first and foremost. And I mean anybody who's a football fan. They owe everybody an explanation. The other thing that you have to admit is that we feel like Detroit is a little bit taken advantage of. They're going to want to know if anybody else, like you can look back at all the film. Yeah. That's what somebody's doing today, probably all week long. Look back, all the film. Where else has this been noted? Tom Brady did it, and there was no flag. So on top of that, you know, all this stuff about it, they owe us one. No, because they owe you more than one, but they owe the National Football League fans some type of explanation to keep their credibility. That's as important as anything else, don't you think?
One of the things that the NFL has done a very, very, very good job at over the years is the brand keeps growing. The brand keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There's more and more money around it. But I'm telling you like this, if you get to the point where you're continually only lobbying for this one squad, you will get fan bases that tune out. You will get people that tune out. You will start to lose a lot of that profit margin. Not a lot, but you'll lose some profit margin. And that's how you affect individuals like that. It's the pockets. Like, this isn't a good brand of football. You know, it's the gambling started a lot of questions. When they opened Pandora's box with the gambling, you started seeing plays, and you're like, whoa, I remember watching the game. It was the New York Giants versus Washington Commanders. It was a Monday Night Football game, and you legitimately had a wide receiver on, like, he legitimately is talking to the ref the whole play. I want to say it was Jahan Dotson, who now plays for the Eagles. He's like, ref, am I on? Ref, am I on? Ref's like, sir, you're on. All right, appreciate it. Proceeds to throw a flag when the play snapped. Said he wasn't on. I watched this man ask you 4 times on national TV, and you turned a blind eye. You insert gambling, you started getting questions.
Agreed.
Now it has nothing to do with gambling. This is just egregiously, you are trying to make sure that the Kansas City Chiefs get to where they need to be. It would have sucked if they were 2-4. I'm going to disagree with Shep. Because Shep, you know, he's smoother. He says, well, you know, the Lions still have to win the game. It's early in the game. BS, because it's all about momentum. You start 7-0 in Arrowhead, much like we did 2 years ago, it's a different energy. It's a different press. It's a different pace. You stole 7 points from the Detroit Lions 2 days ago.
The thing that baffles me is the gall that the National Football League has to ask for accountability from players on and off the field, in season and out of season. They want accountability from the players. They want accountability from owners. Remember Jerry Jones flipping people off? They want accountability from coaches. Where's the accountability from the league office? Where's the accountability for the referees? Don't give me this, hi, I'm a pool reporter, I get to talk to you. As far as I'm concerned, and I've said this for years, referees should be available to all members of the media for a certain period of time to ask about certain questions. Yeah. Umpires,
they
the
don't
same
want you
thing.
in there,
It should be. They don't want me in there. Hell no, they don't want me in there. And they don't want a lot of reporters in there who are willing to ask the hard question. Professionally, but the hard question. Don't give me I want accountability for this player because on his off day, he was on a boat drinking beers, but you're not going to provide any accountability in a game that could decide home field advantage when all is said and done. I know the Lions didn't take advantage of it a year ago, but this is their livelihood. When you're expecting referees used to complain about what? Yeah. We have to work 2 jobs. We don't get paid enough money. Guess what? You don't have to do that anymore.
Not at all.
And where's the accountability? It's nowhere to be found. It's shameful, and the National Football League needs to explain this and do it quickly.
3 years ago, the NFL told us that Jameson Williams will be suspended, and the reason why he would be suspended is because he violated the gambling protocol. Right. And then they proceeded to say, and the reason why he violated the gaming protocol is because he was on Detroit. He was on NFL property when he made the bet. Right. Now they went in further detail to get further and further. Well, you can't be. This is what you can bet on. This is what you can't bet on. This is where you can bet. This is where you can't bet. They did all that with J-Mo, and it got to the point where we thought it was still stupid. But you know what? We accepted it. We agreed on it. And then you came back and you took 2 games off J-Mo's suspension, made it 4. You had everything to say about that, correct? Where are you now?
Yeah.
Like, where are you now? You don't have anything to say about this one. Mum's the word.